How did you first come to suspect that your daughter might have a problem with addiction?
When we went over to Bermuda to visit her, she was teaching over there, and everyone had gone to bed except Rachel with a bottle of wine. And she used to say, "Oh, don't go to bed yet, stay and have another one with me." So I thought, well, we're on holiday, why not? And then like the third bottle probably came out, and I thought, I don't think I can cope with this. I'm going to bed. And I was a little worried about at that time that she might be, drinking far too much.
And did you accept at that point that you had an addiction?
No, not at all. No. Someone suggested to me, I went for counselling and they said they couldn't treat me because I needed an addictions counsellor. And I said, I don't need an addictions counsellor, I'm depressed. But I went to the addictions counsellor and got the help that I needed.
And when the addiction became an issue, how did that make you feel about your daughter at that time?
It became an issue, first of all, because I forget, it was a doctor, she was an addiction specialist, phoned me up from Bermuda and said, your daughter is an addict. And of course my world fell apart then. We were miles away, what can you do? So it was decided that she would fly home and get treatment in the UK. And this is what we did. Rachel just left her job and came home.
And obviously there are different stages of addiction and different feelings and things that happen at that time. What impact did that have on your family?
My son lives in London, so he rarely saw Rachel. My husband died 4 years ago, so I was really on my own coping with it, and Rachel was living in the next town. And I sort of thought, is she drinking? Is she drinking? So much so that I had a key to her house while she was at work, and I would never, ever go in the day because I might find empty bottles. And my son was convinced that she was drinking, and they came to stay at Rachel's house, and secretly she was drinking upstairs with her niece, who was 3.5, 4 years old, getting slowly more drunk. And it ended up that she came down absolutely blotto, determined to get to the outdoor license, whatever, to buy more booze. And it took David and I all our strength to hold her back, and David had to get her on the floor in the kitchen and sit on her. She was like a wild animal. And my granddaughters were there and my daughter-in-law, and it was just an awful, awful experience. I wish I'd have filmed it because she next day never believed that had happened. It was really, really bad. Really
So
bad.
that was a pretty dark time.
It was.
For you all.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the impact that it's had on your family at that time?
I feel terrible. I feel really terrible hearing that. It's difficult for me to hear, but it was the truth. That's what did happen, and that's how I was when I had drink inside me. And if I wanted drink, I would do anything to get it.
But I mean, the result of that was David said, we will never let Rachel sort of have the children to stay with her on their own. We'll never trust her again. And that hurt me. And Rachel knows that now. I mean, I have told her. And there again, I thought it was a one-off. She's learnt a lesson, but it continued.
So it obviously had quite an impact on your family. And with all the worry that was going on at that time, how did you find ways to look after yourself? Did you?
Well, because we'd had such a lot of trouble. My husband died very slowly with esophageal cancer, and I was nursing him. And so I was 24 hours a day caring for Eric, at which stage Rachel was very supportive and very kind, weren't you? I don't know how she did it, but she was still drinking apparently in this house.
Did that somehow bring you closer together again, do you think?
When you're drinking like that and you're sort of consumed by your addiction, nothing really can bring you close to being connected with other humans. So yeah, physically I was in the room and I was caring, but mentally I was in another place, you know.
Mm.
Who was it within the family that finally took responsibility for you to find a solution to your addiction?
A good friend of mine, I was able to speak to him, and he knew about Broadway Lodge, and he took a lot of responsibility for me, because I was incapable of taking any responsibility for anything at the time, and he kind of mediated between me and Mum. And spoke to both of us. My mum was unaware of how bad my addiction had got, because I was living alone and isolating myself from the family. So he was the one to break the news about how bad it was. And it was decided very quickly that I needed some intervention, and that Broadway Lodge would be the best place for me to go.
And how did you decide? How did you come to that collective decision that Broadway Lodge was the right place for you to get some help?
Well, we took his advice, and I mean, you really didn't have time to think, you wanted to act. And it was Rachel who said, yes, she would love to go, please, can I go? And you were gone within 2 days, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you react to that? Obviously, that was very quick, and the process of going into rehabilitation can be quite traumatic. How did you cope with that?
Oh God, I was like a robot. I had no feelings. I felt like a robot. I was on autopilot. I just felt a huge sense of relief. Relief that everything was, the chaos was stopping, and that someone was taking my problems seriously, and that I would really get the help that I needed. Because I wanted the help. I wanted to stop, but I couldn't.
So when you'd been to Broadway Lodge, what changes did you see as a mother during the process of being at Broadway Lodge and afterwards? What changes to her behaviour did you notice?
Oh, phenomenal difference, it really was. She went in a broken person, she came out sort of normal. They'd obviously stripped her down to the bare minimum, and resorted her brain out. I can't explain, it was brilliant. And she was the old Rachel again, weren't you? Yeah, yeah.
And how has life been for you both and as a family since leaving Broadway Lodge?
Really different for me. I feel a bit emotional because thinking about it again. Yeah, it was really hard, and I feel like a different person. You know, I don't feel frightened, I don't feel dread at the world, I don't feel the darkness and the loneliness. I have tools today to help me deal with my feelings and the world around me. And I understand now that nothing outside of myself can make me feel better about myself. I'm the only person that can do that. But Broadway Lodge were the ones to teach me that lesson.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Agree. I mean, Broadway also gave me tools as well to deal with this, and I know I could phone them up any time for support. You know, it's always open, and you know, I'm free to visit if I want to for help. They're very open like that. Yeah, it was amazing.
And comparing how you felt at the beginning of this journey to how do you feel now, can you tell us how you feel now that Rachel is recovering and has left Broadway Lodge? How do you feel about her?
Oh, we get on well, don't we? Yeah, I mean, she is living with me at the moment, taking a new career path and training. And, you know, we're fortunate because I can support her. And that she does need support still. But I think you'll be honest in future, won't you?
Yeah.
And you don't want to go back down that road. You're enjoying life.
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Life's to be enjoyed, you know.
Yeah. I think support afterwards is really important. Yeah.